He's the next Josh Allen.
As they say.
Not the quarterback, the accountant, but
You're the accountant, or you're the doctor, whatever they
accountant.
pretend to be.
Account. Well, I pretend to be a doctor here. I pretend to be an accountant in real life. All right, here we go. Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. That means college football live before lock here at Stokastic, presented by No House Advantage. I am Ben Rasa. I am joined by Matt Gajewski. We've got a lot to get to today. It's going to get a little dangerous. We've got 14 games. We're going to get a little egregious. There are some bad teams. There's some good teams. There's some big spreads. There's some close spreads. We got a little of everything. I know you're feeling good. I know you're ready to rock.
I certainly am. It's a crazy slate, but there's a lot to get into, an extra game and a lot of news. So let's talk about it.
Good. I hope everyone watched UMass last night. If you did or you didn't, regardless, hit the like button for us. That helps us out tremendously. We appreciate it. My boys didn't get it done. But let's get into teams that are on this slate, starting with our friends at Kentucky against Missouri. Close competitive spread, a very low total. So when we look at this game from a DFS perspective, where exactly are you drawn, and are you drawn anywhere given the limitations of these offenses?
Not really. You mentioned the total's really low. A lot of injuries on both sides. Maybe not debilitating injuries, but probably injuries that do affect this game. On the Kentucky side, Levis is playing through an injury. We saw him after last game with his shoulder wrapped again, and he played his worst game of the year. Missouri's actually really good on defense, so that doesn't bode well for him. He's also not running, so with negative 71 yards, he's basically priced out of consideration. There might be a contrarian interest in like Chris Rodriguez, but he's playing through a groin injury. His carries were sapped. So it's an entire X out spot on Kentucky for me. I'm not even interested in the cheap Barian Brown, Tavian Robinson, or Dane Key at receiver. On the Missouri side, there is some interest in Cody Schrader at 4.4K. At running back, their coaching staff was very vocal about kind of cutting the fat from their offense. And that means Nathaniel Pete did not see a touch last week, and Cody Schrader had 22 carries and 3 targets. He's 4.4K, and we're starved for value, so I think he's semi-considerable at his price, but that's really it from the entire game.
So you're not looking to like Brady Cook or anyone like that?
No. Brady Cook, the best thing you can say is he's semi-mobile, but I think there's better values down there than him. He's somewhat interesting because pricing is so tight today. So, I mean, you could do worse than him for sure.
And then on the outside, freshman and Burden, he's still a part of this offense, but just too many. I mean, this is a 14-game slate, so you really are going to have options at these price points.
Right. And I don't want to call Burden bad. He's young, and he basically catches screen passes and falls down.
Okay. Well, that's not going to get it done. You have a lean in the game?
I bet Missouri, man. I got him as a dog. So
you did.
We're going to continue riding. Got very lucky with some of the injuries that Kentucky has at least publicized since then.
I jumped on Missouri as well. Didn't get a good number, but I still feel pretty good about it. Let's get to the most interesting game on the slate, potentially. Florida, slight dog in College Station to take on Texas A&M. 54-point total. We're going to talk about the flu, but not just yet. Let's talk about Florida first. They came off a game that ultimately we got right, in the sense that we both said that Florida could put up some points against Georgia and keep it respectable. It wasn't respectable in the first half. It was more than respectable in the second half. You've got Anthony Richardson. You've got this offense. What do you think they try to do against Texas A&M, and then who would be in play today?
Sorry, a lot of news.
Oh boy, what happened?
Nothing. We'll get to that game soon. As far as the flu goes, we don't know who has it. So it's like, all we know is Wegman has it. Other players have it. We just don't know who it is. So you're just going to have to continue monitoring and see who warms up. It's a semi-interesting game with middling total. Richardson, he's like probably in your cash lineup because the pricing's so bad, but he doesn't come without concerns. He's not running. He has 11 design run attempts in the last 4 games, whether that's coaching staff related or he's hurt. I don't know what the answer is, but for whatever reason, he's not running, which is a big concern because it's the only thing he does well. Luckily, maybe he sees one of those ceiling passing games like he did against Tennessee, because Texas A&M's defense is already horrific. They're outside the top 100 in both run defense and pass defense. So that sets up Richardson for a good matchup. He's just incredibly erratic as a signal caller, and he doesn't run right now. So he's a really scary play, but he's probably the best cheap quarterback option. I think it's between him and Michael Pratt. I don't think you're playing a running back. You can just find better options there. In the pass game, Shorter's questionable for the game. Make sure he warms up if you're going to play him. He's the best receiver to target. The pricing is just inverted here. He's the most active receiver. He leads the team in targets and yards, but he's the cheapest of the three.
He's been ruled out. Shorter's out.
Okay, so then it's even less desirable to target. Xavier Henderson kind of fills that role. It's again, the pricing's inverted. So it was Shorter first, then Henderson second, Pearsall third. That's the exact opposite of this like pecking order. And you can tell I don't care at all who plays because I didn't even know Shorter was out. I had zero of this passing attack.
Nothing in this backfield?
No.
Okay, on the other side, yeah, we don't know. We hear the rumors, we hear the whispers. There's a flu going through the A&M as if they didn't have enough problems. A guy like A-Chain, he's their entire offense in some regards. Are you deterred by this news? We don't know if it affects him, or are you playing them straight up or not playing them at all regardless?
I think A-Chain, he's the best play on the slate. And until we get further notice, you have to play him. Just be ready, finger in the trigger to take him out of your lineup if you need to. There's pivots in the price range, but he's the stone best play on the entire slate, price adjusted. And then the receivers are all too cheap. They're still priced not quite as drastically as they were once Anaya Smith initially went out, but like Evan Stewart's still 6K. He's seeing double-digit targets per game. Moose Muhammad seeing a lot more volume now because they also have Chris Marshall suspended. So we saw Moose Muhammad with 12 targets last game. And then their wide receiver 3 now is Noah Thomas, 80% route rate, just 2 targets. So if any of you are going to the Stone Min, he could potentially be an option.
Any scenario where you get to a quarterback?
Haynes King comes up a little bit, man. Again, pricing for quarterbacks is so tight today. In cash games, you're going to have to make a decision between Haynes King, Anthony Richardson, and Michael Pratt. I think Pratt's the best, but you're not really making a good decision either way.
Last question here. Do you think that A-Chain is the best play on FanDuel as well? Certainly his DraftKings price, it's pretty easy to see. Over on FanDuel, how do you have him kind of prioritized?
Yeah, he's 1A, 1B with Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys are both awesome plays there. I ran optimals this morning. I think they were both in every single one.
There you go. Just keep an eye on that news. Certainly. We'll see what we get. We always get a little news during this show, but we're going to keep it moving. We've got Texas Tech and TCU. Big time. 69.5 point total. The wagon that is TCU is an 8-point favorite at home. Let's start with Texas Tech, though. We talked on Betting You over on the Odd Shopper channel a lot about Texas Tech in recent weeks with their, is it Morton? Is it someone else? What do you do with this offense? We've seen TCU's defense give up big plays just because of the way the team is constructed. How does Texas Tech rate out for you today?
One thing for you guys in chat before we talk about Texas Tech TCU, this news hasn't been publicized yet, but the Virginia beat reporter basically tweeted out a very young group of receivers working with Bernard Armstrong pregame. Billy Kemp is the only experienced receiver catching balls. If you read between the lines, that suggests they're probably going to miss some of Dontavian Wicks, Lavelle Davis, and Keaton Thompson. Billy Kemp's the only one warming up right now. So I want to get that news out there while you guys have time to adjust. They're coming up in some lineups because of the Drake May stuff. So adjust or at least watch Virginia's receivers right now. But TCU, Texas Tech. Sorry, I don't have it pulled up. I was looking at that. A lot of news today. This is the best game environment on the slate. Yeah, it's a crazy day. Anyway, let's go Texas Tech first. You obviously want to play guys from these games. And I think right away for Texas Tech, it's tough to play anybody because they're so volatile. They use 6 or 7 receivers. I'm not really playing anyone in the backfield. This game's the showdown. So over there, I have more interest in Taj Brooks. And they're going to use 3 quarterbacks, which is a huge issue for DFS. But among the receivers, they're now fully healthy. They returned Miles Price. They returned JJ Sparkman. So fully healthy. But I think if you were ranking these guys price adjusted, it would be Jaron Bradley 1, Miles Price 2, Trey Cleveland 3. Trey Cleveland only 1 target last week, but he still led the team in routes. He's now done that for 3 straight weeks. And then the only other really interesting wrinkle here is Nehemiah Martinez is the Stone Min. He's somebody you could look to just to fill out your lineups if you need a min price guy.
Anything else on this team for Tech? Because like you mentioned, it's not an appealing team the way they're constructed, but it's a 70-point total and they're, a touchdown dog. They've got a team total around 30. It's a pretty healthy spot, but is it just kind of the way they're constructed really leaves a lot to be desired?
You're just throwing darts. Someone's going to have a good game. You just have it's like a 1 in 7 chance.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously TCU is going to be an important team to get right, no matter where you're playing. And we'll talk about no house advantage in just a few seconds. But, Dugan is priced over there in terms of his props. You've got Kendre Miller, Quentin Johnston. Where does this stack fall in your priorities? Are they cash viable? How do you get to an offense with nearly a 40 implied total?
You play Dugan, you can play him alone, you can stack him. He's awesome, 276 rushing yards. And then he's averaging 276 actually as a passer too. It's the exact same number. I thought I had a typo there. It's not. And some of that's depressed because they started Chandler Morris to start the year. You can stack him. I would prefer Quentin Johnston. He's their alpha. He has a 28% target share. But they kind of changed their wide receiver too a little bit. Darius Davis ran more routes than Savion Williams for the first time all year last week. And he already is kind of dwarfing him in targets. So that's telling. I think Davis is live at his price now. I prefer him to Tay Barber straight up. And Savion's still running a lot of routes himself. He's just of the wind sprinter variety. So you could use him as a cheap play if you need to. Otherwise, Kendre Miller, he's very live in the backfield. He gets more touches the more competitive games are. So last week they demolished West Virginia, only 12 carries. The week prior, he was at 29. So you could also see he lives through efficiency. One of the other reasons why he only had 12 carries is, he's just breaking off 70-yard run. So rather than getting chunk plays and carrying the ball 20 times, like if he's scoring in one play, he's just naturally not going to see as many attempts.
When you look on the outside, I mean, you mentioned you could play Dugan alone. If you pair him up, Quentin Johnston, 7,400, I mean, he's really emerged. We've seen that we knew he was an alpha, and he's now showing that. Is that the obvious stacking piece, or is there more to it?
He's the obvious piece.
Last question here, and then we can move on. Could you envision any lineups where you would have Dugan and Kendre Miller together?
Probably not. I think you can do it. I'm just not going to.
Quick question, a quick 1v1. Kendre Miller or Gibbs on FanDuel? I assume that's Gibbs from Alabama. I think this is a game you're going to want exposure to, but again, 14 games leaves a lot of options at these price points. So there's a ton of really good backs. We had a question about that, but let's get to the game that you alluded to just a few minutes ago. North Carolina is a touchdown favorite on the road to take on Virginia, a 60-point total. We can start with the UNC side. Drake May is amazing. He's had a monster year. They're a great offense. They've got downs. They got all sorts of weapons. Where does UNC fall in the priority list today?
High. Drake May is the number one quarterback on the slate, both platforms. He's just
cash
electric.
Viable.
Yeah, he's the best dual threat maybe in the country right now. 439 rushing yards. He's averaging 331.5 through the air. Matchup certainly doesn't scare you. It's a sneaky good total. It's been rising throughout the week. It's up to 60 points. He gets it done every which way, which is awesome.
This is not super related. I just want to ask you quickly. Are you surprised he's this good?
He's a 4-star recruit. I mean, a little bit. Like, he's awesome. He could win the Heisman if he was on a better team.
Yeah, I didn't think you would be, bad.
Like if the Heisman was actually voted on the way it should be, and who's the best player in the country, he has a legit case to be made, because like Heisman's just given to the best player who is also on the best team, which May is not on a good team. So he's kind of barred from actually winning it, but he's awesome, man. He might be the best player in college football.
It's crazy, but also accurate. Can you run Drake and 2 pass catchers?
Yeah, I think you can now. I mean, JJ Jones, their wide receiver 3 is 4,400. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but he's on the field every single play. So I think there's ways to do it. And then if you want to stack Downs and Antoine Green, all 3 of the Virginia receivers look like they're out. So, I mean, you can now play Billy Kemp at 3.3K. He's the stone best cheap play on the entire slate now. And he's on the other side. Yeah,
he's the easiest run back possible. I assume you don't want anything to do with like Omarion Hampton or Elijah Green?
No, that backfield's going to be a committee.
On the other side, you've already talked about this. First of all, Brennan Armstrong, he was hurt. Do you have interest in him as a contrarian play to this game? Or are you saying that's just way too aggressive with the wide receiver limitations and his running upside just not what it once was?
Yeah, I think you said it well. He already has seen his efficiency plummet after losing his OC to Syracuse this past year. He was averaging over 300 yards per game in 2021. Now he's at 227. he relies on his mobility. He's playing through a high ankle sprain, and he's not at risk of missing the game, but he is at risk of diminished mobility, which is a big concern for me.
Oh, no doubt about it. I don't even think we need to waste time on the Virginia backfield. I'll just say there's multiple guys. I don't even know who all these guys are. I assume there's no scenario where you would play Virginia. They don't, first of all, they're running they never run the ball anyway.
They're all bad.
It's a lethal combination. They don't get any volume and they're not good.
Yeah, they all suck.
Okay, here we go. Billy Kemp, you mentioned 3.3K, cash viable, pay down viable in all formats.
Yep. I don't know who the 2 and 3 are. I'm guessing this is going to be Kemp 1, Demick Starling 2, and they haven't used anybody else. So I have no idea who the wide receiver 3 is right now. They do use some tight ends, so those guys are Grant Niche and Sackett Wood. Maybe they use this is a 4 wide receiver team primarily, so they don't even use a tight end on every single play. So I think assuming they go to 12 personnel is probably a jump too far, but they probably use tight ends now on every single play. It's just who is it? I don't know. But I think a lot of people should be playing Billy Kemp now. He is the single best value play on the entire slate, not named A-Chain. And again, there are different price points. If you need someone near the stone min, Billy Kemp is probably going to see 12 targets today.
Are you a little surprised that the spread continues to drop?
What is it now?
I mean, it's starting to take pressure on +7. It looks like 6.5 could pop.
I think it's going to go the other way now that this news is
I would assume. I like North Carolina in this game.
So there was a rumor this week that Drake May is playing injured. I don't know how much stock to put into that.
It looked good to me. I watched him.
Good to me too. Just a rumor, but I don't know. I've been on the North Carolina side all week. I don't agree with the line movement. And I think now, like this news just came out a minute ago. It's probably going to come back.
Yeah. Lavelle Davis. I mean, these are. Whew.
I think he's out too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's not that many options. I think it's pretty clear we're both kind of saying the same thing. You know who Billy Kemp is. We've seen him. After that, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend messing around with those other guys. It could be a million different bodies they could throw out as these receivers to step up.
The last thing I'll say on this is I thought Billy Kemp was going to miss this game. He got hurt last week. He's played like 2 games the entire year. If you're looking for, first of all, not enough people are going to play Billy Kemp because this news is coming so late. Second of all, like if you're playing, I don't know, any of you that are like real high rollers, I think Billy Kemp's going to be owned. Demick Starling is for sure not hurt. He's like the only guy I think we can say that about. He's the stone minimum.
Okay. This is going to be a fascinating piece of the puzzle today.
Sure is.
All right, let's talk. Yeah, they haven't been in street close. Let's talk a little about No House Advantage. Our friends over there, a dynamic fantasy sports platform. If you guys haven't checked it out, now would be the time. We got some deals for you, and it's just a different type of play. You can get $50 first match deposit bonus with No House Advantage when you use the promo code Stokastic. The link is in the description of this video. We're going to put it up on the screen and in chat as well. What you're doing over there, test your skills versus the house. 20x your entry if you hit all of those picks. You're just projecting player props. Up to 5, overs, unders, different types. You've got guys like Dugan. We've got the Tennessee-Georgia game. We've got the Indiana game where they're calling for crazy wind. That could be a short. I like the under in that game. So maybe you go under on those wide receivers there. And certainly a guy like Bowers is going to be real busy today. 58.5 receiving yards for Bowers. I like the over. So you have plenty of options. We've got the tools. All of the work that Matt and the team puts in behind the scenes is right there for No House Advantage. So check that out, take advantage, build the bankroll. No reason not to go over to No House Advantage and check it out now. All right, let's see where we go now. We are up to this game. Give me a break. Minnesota and Nebraska. Minnesota's a 14.5-point favorite. I bet Nebraska last week. Casey Thompson goes down. They were throwing guys out, that were not quarterback ready. Mr. Purdy, no dice. What's the status of Casey Thompson and what do you do with this game?
Casey Thompson's out.
Great.
That makes Nebraska an X-out team. They also have an injury in their backfield. I don't think we see Grant today. We may or may not. We'll have to watch his status, but it's not looking good for him. And without Casey Thompson last week, Trey Palmer caught 1 of 7 targets for 1 yard. That also is very bad. So it's an X-out team for me. I'll have no part of them. So it's basically just, do you want to play anyone on the other side? And luckily they have Mo Ibrahim, who is the only viable play there. He's a strong favorite to lead the entire slate in touches. He's now not 9K, so which is solid. You can play him with ease. I think he should be in cash. And I mean, you can really build around him in tournaments now.
Yeah, I mean, more and more value is coming out on the slate.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix stuff too. This is a disaster. But
It's
hey, those of you struggling, you can take solace in the fact that
we're all
not enough people are going to adjust.
No, and God, Logan Smothers. This is a tough scene for
Holy
Nebraska.
smokes, he's bad.
It's really, I feel bad for Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer is trying, and it's not good. But you mentioned this is a pretty simple game to break down. Ibrahim gets crazy volume. He's had 30 and 36 carries in the past 2 games. He's a workhorse back. He's scored in every game. I guess my question for you, and we could talk about this throughout the show a little, is are you looking to pay that type of tag at run? Because he's one of the most expensive backs. It's a very flat price for you have like 10 to 15 backs from 6K to 7.7 in Anaconda. Like, is he a priority amongst the Spears and those type of guys on the slate?
Now that I can play Billy Kemp, yeah, let it ride.
Yeah, I mean, it is a true opportunity cost that's being negated. You're really opening up salary, so
Do whatever you want.
I get it. Is it turning into that type of slate where you
It wasn't. It kind of is now. There's going to be a lot of I won't swear. There's going to be a lot of bad lineups out there that are playing like, I don't know. Chris Hudson was okay as a value piece. People are going to play Stephon Robinson for Oklahoma State. I don't know if he even starts. Like, I was getting some Marcus Rosemead Jack Saint. Like, it was gross out there. And now there's a very, very clear path.
Couple of things. Can you play 4 backs today?
I wouldn't anymore.
Moose Muhammad for Texas A&M or Cedric Tillman?
Tillman.
Starling or Bijan Robinson or Kemp and Gibbs on FanDuel?
I played the Gibbs side.
So would I. Okay, let's keep it moving. We got a lot of games. We're doing good though. We're trained. As I said to you before the show, we are trained professionals, both of us.
You might be.
No, you might be. We know Mike behind the glasses, so we got one for sure. Ohio State, Northwestern, 38-point spread, no problem. 55-point total. Travion Henderson, like most of the Ohio State star players, they don't need to use him today. So what does that do to the backfield? And where do we access what's going to be an obvious beatdown wherever Northwestern is?
Yeah, Mine Williams coming off an injury too. And we've seen Ohio State, when they're absolutely killing teams, just take their foot off the gas and play Dallin Hayden. I was getting a lot of Dallin Hayden. Now I'm trying to ease off that with Billy Kemp. I still want to play some of him, but I thought he was one of the best GPP plays on the slate because of his price, because of the weather, and because of the injuries to the backfield. The only other note here is they did move Chip Trayanum, the former Arizona State running back. He transferred to Ohio State to play linebacker, and then they moved him back to running back I don't know if it was last week, a couple weeks ago. He's not in the player pool because he's listed as a linebacker, but I don't know if that hurts Hayden. I guess it would to some degree, but I still think he's viable as a tournament play, just a little less attractive now that we have Billy Kemp.
Would you rather play Ibrahim or Mayan?
Ibrahim, not even close.
I don't know. Well, actually, before I make a joke about Northwestern, is there anything in the Ohio State passing game that you would want to get to, or is it just so unnecessary given that these guys should be watching from the sidelines pretty quickly in the second half?
I think weather's more of a concern there. It's like 50-mile-an-hour winds.
There's a lot of games like that today.
Anything really in the Midwest.
Do you look to these unders? I know that's more of a betting question, but
yeah, I bet some of them. I forget off the top of my head. Purdue, I have the under in for sure.
I bet the under in the Indiana game.
That was smart. I didn't. I wish I did.
Yeah. Thoughts on Hayden for OSU? We just talked about him, but I mean, you want to give a 5-second recap?
Yeah, I was playing a lot of him. I'm trying to ease off a little bit now. Let me see what I had him at. Got him at 46% of lineups. I'm going to bring that down and try to get more Billy Kemp to kind of spread this risk a little bit among these shit players.
On the other side, Northwestern has a 9-point team total. That doesn't seem good. I'm not sure that's the answer. Is there anything in any scenario where any player on the team could possibly get into a lineup?
No. Earlier in the week, I wrote in our premium article, I forget what it's called, the deep dive, sorry, that these guys were maybe viable if you were running like min-price run backs for Ohio State, but I don't think they're going to be passing anymore. So I just X'd them out.
Yeah, it's a tough scene. What can you say?
They suck.
Just don't play them. For Northwestern, that sums it up nicely. Everyone's starting to bail on A-Chain. Here we go. I don't know. We're gonna
Wait, why are we bailing on A-Chain? Did someone say
well,
news?
it's starting to trickle out. I don't, the smoke here. When there's smoke, there's fire. I have no idea. Like, yeah, I think we're reading a little too much into things. We will see. We got 30 minutes to read more into it. We're gonna try to see. Do you have to play Armstrong if you have the min price Virginia receivers?
This freaking B reporter tweeted A-Chain came out of the locker room late.
He's probably,
which could be for any number of reasons.
He was finishing up a delicious sandwich. Who knows? Like, what do you make of that though? With Armstrong, do you have to play Armstrong if you have the min Virginia receivers?
Brennan Armstrong?
Yeah.
No,
I don't think so either. Tulane and Tulsa. Interesting game. Tulane, one of the more underrated teams in the country. They are a 7-point favorite on the road here. You mentioned Pratt earlier in the show. I want to ask you about Spears as well. Are those where we want to allocate our shares, or are there other players on Tulane that we need to notice?
Pratt, I think, was maybe the best cheap option at quarterback until some of this news. Now you shouldn't have any problem paying up for, like, I don't know what the new cash build is going to be, but maybe Hooker and Drake May, something like that. Anyway, for this team, if you still want to pay down at quarterback, Pratt's viable. He has awesome rushing ability. He's efficient as a passer. It's just a semi-low volume passing attack. It's nothing like Minnesota or anything, but they have a 44% pass rate, 80th in pace. So it's definitely not, like an up-tempo exciting scheme, but Pratt's super involved every which way. 250 rushing yards. He missed some time this year too, so that's depressed. He's hyper efficient as a passer. He's only playable naked, I think. They use 6 receivers. And then the other player who really pops is Tyjae Spears, who's not getting owned enough. I think probably just because he's priced too close to A-Chain. He's now received 20 touches in 3 straight games. He is an awesome target share. He's had at least double-digit targets in every game except his last one recently. So, I mean, he's just a sick play overall. Tulsa's defense is not good, especially against the run. 4.9 yards per carry to opposing backs, and Tulane's a favorite here. I think he's an awesome play.
Anything on the outside?
Nope.
Any scenario where you play Pratt and Spears together?
I'm going to try not to.
We had a question, kind of it's Pratt tangential in some ways. Is there too much opportunity cost with like a Richardson or a Pratt at QB and cash?
Maybe now. There wasn't before.
Like, would that filter you up to maybe like May Dugan combos?
May Dugan, May Hooker. Nix if you can get him. Nix is so expensive.
He really is.
He's really, really expensive.
I do think that's a valid point, though. The more value that opens up, the less it becomes pertinent to play the mid-price quarterback.
I have a lot of Richardson. I have a lot of Dallin Hayden. I'm trying to do something about it.
Yeah, I don't think we're there just yet where it's like you got to move off those guys, but I do think more and more with the Virginia situation and some of the things that are going on, it does lead us to that. On the other side of this game, we've got a Tulsa team that is not really good, but they do play pretty fast. Does that help enough to keep them relevant here?
Their quarterback's hurt, and that could drastically change their offense. Davis Brin is a pocket statue, and their backup, Braylon Baxton, is a dual threat. This is a team that runs 4 wide almost every single play, heavy pass rate, fast. So generally, there's a lot of value for these guys. I would have some interest in like a contrarian Keelan Stokes just because the volume is amazing and no one's going to play him. He's kind of like the G5 version of, I don't know, Trey Palmer in terms of volume and inefficient targets. But I mean, you're really taking a risk here. If Braxton starts and plays this game, his targets could plummet. So I don't think that risk is necessary, especially with some other just awesome receivers at cheap prices like Tillman and whatnot.
Anything in their backfield?
No.
Is there any scenario where you play Braxton in tournaments?
Not anymore.
No, it should. Yeah. I mean, he does have dual threat, as you mentioned, but I think that's a little thin. You've got Richardson, you've got Pratt, you've got a lot of quarterbacks to pay up for. Anything else in this game?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really see. We don't see these teams a ton on the slate. But to me, the Tulane side, Spears, Pratt, and basically a pass everywhere else.
I bet Tulane. Let's go Green Wave.
Go Green Wave.
To the New Year's Six.
Well, that's see now you take it too far. You get a little crazy.
What? They're gonna win.
They might. They should put UMass in there. Baylor.
Hey, Devin A-Chain's getting work in pregame.
He's gonna be fine.
So Evan Stewart's warming up. Moose Muhammad's warming up.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna figure it out. Like I said, if news comes out, news comes out. Baylor, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's up to a 3.5 point favorite, 61.5 point total. Baylor gives games away. They literally just take them. But they do have some things going on, particularly with Richard Reese in that backfield. 36 carries against Texas Tech, 31 carries against Kansas. Of course, when I really liked him was against West Virginia and he had 13 carries. Don't really understand that. But this guy's got 40 touch upside. Does that put him firmly in play today?
Yeah, I personally think so. And you mentioned the risk. It's not like this has been a consistent workload for him. So, and it kind of ebbs and flows. The one kind of wrinkle in this is that they're expected to get back Squirrel Williams today, who in some of those games where he didn't have quite the desirable touch workload that we wanted, it was because he was active. When they're down in games, he just straight up is not the pass catching back. That's Quaylon Jones. So I think one way to describe him is maybe like, I don't know, the Josh Jacobs isn't a good description, but like the old Josh Jacobs of college football. Like he doesn't play in the pass game much. And he's not going to catch a lot of targets. But when they're winning games, like last week, he touched the ball 40 times, 4-0. He has that kind of upside. I don't have a lot of him, but I'm trying to get more behind the scenes as we speak. So he's somebody that's certainly tournament viable.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely tournament viable in my opinion too. I don't respect Oklahoma's defense much. He's got crazy upside. Is there anything on the outside when you look at this Baylor attack, when you look at Chapin, or do we not want to mess around with that?
He's a game manager. I wouldn't mess with him. He's a high floor, low ceiling type play who you don't need to play with some of the news we got.
On the outside, is Monterey Baldwin even playing?
He's not expected to play. Watch warm-ups, though. We'll see.
Okay. Does that matter to you? I mean, if he officially is out, I don't know, whoever the hell they have on the outside there.
Hal Presley,
Gavin Holmes. Like, yeah, sure. Is that where we go?
They kind of, all these guys, they ebb and flow with big games. They all have a ceiling, but the passing volume is so low and the target share is not condensed that it's kind of just random when these guys pop up for big games. So I'm not really that interested. I will say they lost Drake Dabney to a season-ending injury, which that should put Ben Sims into a complete full-time role if you really want to get weird. I don't, so I'm probably not going to do it.
On the Oklahoma side, again, they are a slight favorite at home. We know that they've got still some playmakers on this team. And with so many quarterbacks that we've talked about, is Dylan Gabriel going to be lost on this slate?
Yeah, I was going to play him till all this news, and now I don't think I'm going to have time. I wanted to stack him because I think it's going to be contrarian. He's not 9K anymore. He has a clear alpha in Marvin Mims, and the target share for him is good. He ping pongs around like massive target games, low target games. That's kind of just what you get with him at this point, but the ceiling is enormous for him. So I wanted to stack him with Mims and then run Reese on the other side, but I don't know.
That's an interesting type of lineup construction. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. You still have value across the board. I think it's pretty viable. In the backfield, is there something that we need to notice for Oklahoma?
Yeah, we should watch for injury. This is a great late swap spot because Eric Gray got hurt last week. Javonte Barnes missed the game. And Marcus Major, he just had his first, I don't know what to call it, first game back from injury, which was, good, I guess. But just got news that Chip Trainum's taking second team reps for Ohio State in warmups. He's not in the player pool, but that is very bad for Hayden. We'll see. I don't know.
We had a question. Richard Reese and Bean. I assume that's
Jason Bean.
Or Richardson and Mo Ibrahim.
Sorry, what was it?
Reese and Bean or Richardson and Ibrahim?
Richardson side.
Yeah. Hyatt or Tillman?
They're not the same price.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Tillman, I guess.
Yeah, that's a weird
Like
one.
he's my favorite GPP play, but like if you have the salary, you might as well spend it.
Yeah, who's going to have more raw points? Tillman should beat him more often than not.
I
Now,
think so, but he's coming off the injury. We'll see. He was the one before the injury.
we're going to get to that game in a second. Big numbers 59. I appreciate that. We are doing the best we can with all this crazy news. This guy's juggling lineups. I got the Breeders' Cup on my mind, horse racing. There's all sorts of things going on. But in the meantime, we can still tell you about some of the things going on here. All the tools, the ownership, the projections, everything that we have here at Stokastic. If you are looking to get that, we will give it to you for free for 2 months. 2 months of Stokastic plus Platinum if you're looking to sign up at BetMGM. Link in the description of this video. If you sign up and register at BetMGM Sportsbook and you make your first wager, you deposit, you get your risk-free bet, you do all that stuff. If you're looking to bet, in addition to that, we're going to give you 2 free months of Stokastic plus Platinum. It is that easy. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You are getting into the sportsbook. You're going to hang out at OddsShopper, watch all our content, make some money in sports betting, and you're going to get all the things you want for DFS for 2 months. Here are all the tools for all the sports. It is that simple. You see it in the link in the description. My man Mike just put it in chat. It's that easy. Sign up. Come and say what's up. Pop in Discord as well for the 2 months. Why not? Game of the century. Game of the millennium. It's a big time game. Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia is an 8.5-point favorite. A 65.5 point total. Tennessee is the number 1 team in the country, according to the committee. They deserve it. They've got the best resume. They've got the Heisman frontrunner. Can you play Hayden Hooker today and be truly dangerous?
Yeah, 100%. He already did this against Alabama. You can play him for sure. I have no reservations with Hooker. He has one of the best overall roles in college football. If Drake May didn't exist, I think maybe Hendon Hooker would be that guy you say is the number 1 dual threat in college football.
If you play him, are you more likely to try to tap into his rushing upside and go like skinny stack or alone? Or are you looking to pair him with like Hyatt and Tillman and McCoy, a rotation of 2 guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to stack him. I'm not stacking 2 because they're expensive, but I'll use both Tillman and Hyatt almost interchangeably. I like Tillman a little bit more for potential leverage, but they're both awesome.
Anything in this backfield, like Jabari Small would probably be I would say the kind of the lead guy there, but is this an attack that you think Tennessee really utilizes against Georgia?
I agree with you that Jabari Small is the lead guy.
Is he in play though in a slate with this many running back options flirting at 6K? To me, he's more on the outside looking in.
Agreed.
Anything else from Tennessee? Do you have a feel kind of on how they actually? I'll give my take first, actually, and then I want to hear what you think. Clearly, we know that Tennessee can score. They can score on everybody. They can score on anybody. They play at a crazy fast tempo. Josh Heupel will have them ready. The game is not in Knoxville, though. It's in Athens, Georgia. That is going to be a big-time difference between what we saw in the Alabama game. And Tennessee's defense still gives up over 300 yards passing. So I think Tennessee will be able to score. They have basically a 30 implied team total. And I'm fine with these guys. But I don't think people are understanding how good Georgia's offense really is. Georgia's defense, I'm not sure how good. We're going to find out today. Georgia's offense is unbelievable. And it starts with Stetson Bennett. Love or hate him, he knows what he's doing, and he is putting it together. He's $8,600. He's got Bowers on the outside. He's got McConkey on the outside. Where does the Georgia stack come into play for you today?
I'm going to be using the Georgia stack. I have loved Bowers and McConkey today, both underpriced for their roles. We saw them both just play nearly 100% of the snaps last week. Love that. I'm going to be riding with both of them in various lineups here.
I totally get it. And I think that, again, with the tempo that Georgia plays much slower. They're outside the top 100 in pace. It's going to be a pace up spot for them. Obviously, they're at home. I think they could put up a ton of points today. And those guys on the outside make a perfect stack. Every week I ask you the same question. Is there someone in this backfield that could consolidate enough to keep them playable? Or is it just the same old Georgia with 3 or 4 guys in the mix?
Yeah, don't worry about the backfield.
Is there anyone we should worry about on the outside besides the two we mentioned, whether it's, at like someone cheap, someone sub 4K, Dylan Bell maybe, or Washington?
I had some Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, but I don't anymore.
It all is consolidated by
Actually,
Billy
I do
Cap?
have some. I'm lying. Not a lot, though. I'm still trying to fix this, but yeah, I do have some of him. Sorry.
No problem. We did have a comment from chat too on that, is saying, Jackson saying $1,200 in Showdown is an absolute steal. That's a good find.
Who is that?
Appreciate it. What did you say?
Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint? That's what we're talking about? Yeah,
Yep.
he's solid in Showdown.
Very solid. Ibrahim and Anthony Richardson, or Dugan and Savion Williams?
Ibrahim.
Yeah, I would say so too. Even though I'm a big fan of Dugan, Ibrahim and Anthony Richardson is an extremely solid combo.
Yeah, Dugan rocks, but I agree.
Yeah. If you had to pivot off Kemp, where would you go? Ugh.
Starling.
Okay. Anything
Just
else?
being honest, man. They're
No,
the
no,
best values in the slate.
That's what we're here for. Anything else from this game? I like the over in this game. If I bet the game, I have not. But if I have a real good start to the noon slate, I might add this. I'm going to be on the Georgia side. I'm not a huge believer in Tennessee. Not that they're not amazing, just that they can go into Athens and get this done. I'm probably not going to bet a side, though.
I bet Tennessee. Let's go.
Okay. You think they can win? I mean, I assume you think you can. You think they're going to win?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to win, but I think they can.
Yeah, that's fair. I want where all of them beat each other and it's just madness for the committee.
I'm with you on that. That would be sick.
That would be awesome. All right.
And TCU gets in. Our baby boy TCU.
Damn right. TCU and I don't know. We'll see. Who's the pivot from Hayden now?
Who's Hayden? Oh.
Ohio State.
No, their second string running backs not in the player pool, so definitely not that guy.
Just a different
Schrader at 44, although I'm trying to get out of that range.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like a pretty bad range now. All right, let's knock out this Oregon game. 31-point favorites for the Ducks, taking on Colorado. Colorado is on the slate. Good for them. Bo Nix, you mentioned he's crazy expensive. He's nearly 10,000. But it's somewhat justified. Do you think he gets enough run and does enough damage to, allocate salary to him, or is it just too much of an opportunity cost?
I had 0 of him before this news. Now I have a little bit. He straight up, you'll get him in some lineups now if you adjust Billy Kemp.
And when you do that, does it come with Troy Franklin? Does it come alone? Like how does
it comes with Chris Hudson mostly. So you're playing two, because it's still going to give you the good running backs. You could also remove one of the good running backs, play Schrader or something, and then get a better receiver. But a lot of these lineups look like Nix with Hudson, because he's now the wide receiver 2. They lost their previous wide receiver 2, and no Colorado run back.
Is there any scenario where you say to yourself, okay, Oregon has nearly a 50-point team total. We know about Nix. We know about Hudson. We know about Franklin. I'm going to play Bucky Irving and hope he falls in the end zone 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, he's good. I don't even know if he needs to just fall in the end zone. You describe it that way, which is accurate, but he's the guy they'll use when they need to. He's kind of like the Kendry Miller of their team, but when they don't have to use him, they're not going to unnecessarily put him in harm's way. So
that could be a problem today.
Could be a problem today. He also could just be like a guy that is part of the offense, and one of the reasons they get to their, whatever it is, 31-point spread. I have a little bit of Bucky Irving.
Okay. I do think on a team like this, the running back situation is really murky. I think that more likely than not, his volume doesn't get you there. But when you have access to that type of team total, there's also scenarios where Bucky Irving breaks off 2 or 3 monster touchdown runs early, and he's the guy that you want from Oregon.
We're in 100% agreement on that. Couldn't have said
I
it
assume
better.
that you're in 100% agreement, 1,000% agreement that JT Shroud is not the answer today.
No, he's bad.
No, I don't even know if he's their starting quarterback, but
he is starting today.
Okay, well,
he's terrible.
It's not great. Yeah, so Colorado got a win. That's a miracle in itself. They won't be adding a second one today. Is there anyone in any team part of their team, from running back to wide receiver to tight end, that we should be talking about?
No.
Okay. Best super chat maybe of the year. Tulane versus TCU winner take all for the playoff spot. That would be your dream.
Say it again. Tulane versus who? Houston?
TCU.
Oh, TCU.
Winner take all for the playoff spot.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Tulane, and they didn't drop that game to Southern Miss where they outgained them by like 400 yards.
I needed that from my don't slander Southern Miss. I needed them for my win total for the
They're
year.
a bunch of cowards.
They are awesome. They got there with flying colors, just fantastic. Yeah, Malachi Fields is out as well. Everyone on Virginia is out. It's not good. Spears from Tulane or Kendra Miller from TCU?
Spears.
Spears for me too. Just a volume.
Don't feel great about it, but I think that's where I'm going.
Best wide receiver at 4,900 or below. It's Billy Kemp.
Billy Kemp.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. What about, Moose Muhammad as well at 47?
Billy Kemp's better, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. Ooh, Oklahoma State and Kansas. 1 point spread. Jayhawks are a slight favorite. The Fighting Gundys are taking over here. Is that official? Is Gunnar Gundy handed the keys to the car?
Going to be a pregame warm-up decision.
If he is, I assume he's not playable.
No, he's terrible.
He doesn't seem very good. I know he's probably watching the show and we appreciate that. Doesn't seem great so far.
Thanks, Gunnar, but no.
Yeah, hit the like button, my friend. But man, this is a big downgrade, not just to him, but I think the rest of the do you have interest in guys like Richardson or whoever on the outside if Gundy's under center?
I don't know who's going to play because I think this is the first time they're going to be fully healthy, which they haven't been all year. They've missed at least 1 or 2 receivers every single week. So it's been very clear because they run 4 wide every single play. They've had exactly 4 healthy receivers. Now I think they're going to have 6. So I don't even know who like it's cannibalized because of that. Before I had a lot of interest in the freshman, Stephon Robinson at 3.7K, but I don't really see the need to play him anymore.
Do you see the need to play anyone from Oklahoma State in general?
No.
Ooh, Trey Cleveland is out. Does that do anything to you for Texas Tech?
A little bit. It makes the other guys like slightly better plays, but he had the lowest route rate of everybody we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one, but they got a lot of bodies too. They're another team. What about Dominic Richardson specifically?
I think he's going to miss the game.
That makes it harder to play him. Was it
But
that bad? I know obviously he didn't play last week.
Yeah, I don't know. They're so tight-lipped with injuries at Oklahoma State. They're one of the worst teams in the country on this front.
On the other side of this game, we saw what Kansas State did to them. Do you think that Kansas can replicate any of that?
I would like it more if Jalen Daniels was healthy, but I don't think he's going to play today. I don't think it's going to be close to what Kansas State did, but I like this Kansas team. I think they're live in the game. I don't think it's going to be as lopsided, and I don't think anyone should expect that regardless, but I think it's going to be tight, and we've seen that in the line movement, honestly. So I do like some players in the Kansas side. Bean was a little more interesting before some of this news opened up. I think he was semi-viable in cash games, but now there's just no point to play him. You either pay down or you pay up. And then I think in the backfield, maybe you could look to Neal, but I don't love that either. There's just better plays.
Wigman officially out for Texas A&M.
Good, he's a coward anyway.
Anything else from this game?
No.
Okay, 2 down, many more to go. I will give one more quick shout out to our Discord as well. If you're looking for more plays, if you're looking for picks, if you want Breeders' Cup action, come on now, get in our premium Discord. You get in for the week, 100% free, and then you can decide if you want to stay. But you can access that. You go to the Stokastic homepage, find our Discord, sign on up for Insider Package. Come on in, and let's gamble on horses in college football all day, because that's what I'll be doing, and a little MMA. Why not? Syracuse, Pittsburgh. Pitt's a slight favorite, 48.5-point total, one of the worst on the slate. Does that mean the game is not favorable for DFS, or they're just value price specific options that we want to look at?
Abanaconda is a monster.
He really is good.
He has such a crazy touch workload. You can play him anytime you want. He's going to be a little contrarian today because he's expensive, but he's a 1-for-1 pivot right off of guys like Ibrahim. He's the only guy I want to touch, though.
Cash viable?
I would rather play Ibrahim, but he's in the conversation.
Anything on the Syracuse side? We saw them, Notre Dame, it kind of melted down. Schrader got hurt. Del Rio Wilson came in. What do we expect from the Orange today?
You could use maybe a GPP, Sean Tucker. Don't love it, but he has a good workload when things go his way. Schrader cannibalizes him at times, but he has an awesome target share. He's second on the team there, averages over 30 receiving yards per game. You could do a lot worse than him for sure.
This is a weird game. I feel like there are some plays. Like
some of my lineups are going to be bad.
There's been I mean, we've done a lot of shows together over the years. This is one of the wilder ones we've ever done.
Freaking Drake Stoops in a lineup.
Do we like A-Chain today? Yeah, if he's alive and well, which is debatable, but
he looks good.
I mean, you got to go. I think you roll with him.
I saw a video of him walking.
Well, I'll be the chief. Yeah, there you go. Anything else from this game, or can we move on to the final two?
Let's move on.
Penn State and Indiana, 50.5 point total. It could be really, really windy in Bloomington. What does that do to each offense? Penn State, a little more dynamic. Certainly, they've got Singleton. How do you go about breaking down the Nittany Lions?
Yeah, they've been run heavy when they play from ahead. So these guys might have more viability. Still don't trust it. It's a 50-50 timeshare regardless. And then they just don't throw enough when they're ahead. So I don't think you need to play Penn State. Plus, you mentioned the weather's atrocious.
Yeah, it's not a great situation for them in that situation. On the other side, I mean, Indiana plays like crazy fast. Are they going to be functional today with this weather?
No.
So does that make?
I don't know who's playing quarterback for them. They've mentioned they might bench their guy. That's not good. And then they lost their number one player on their team, Cam Camper. It's a bad scene for them.
I think Indiana could really struggle today. I didn't bet Penn State, but I did take the under.
Yeah, no issues with that.
I
bet Penn State. I did not take the under. I just missed it.
Okay. No, it's
I would take the under.
We have one final game. We're going to get there in a second. We did have a question from left field. We don't have this game on the slate. What do you think about Jaden Daniels' chances tonight at home against Bama?
I don't think they're good. He struggles with pressure. He's going to see a ton of it.
Interesting. Okay. So you don't think he's replicating Hendon Hooker's showing?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
No, I mean, I'm not in love. I'm not running to the window to bet LSU, so I'm more with you than not.
All right. I think I'm set on my lineups.
Abataconda or Bijan Robinson?
Abataconda.
Can you play him in your Superflex spot? I would not.
I probably wouldn't anymore.
No.
You can. Like, it was a decent day for 4 running backs, more so than really any week this year outside of short slates. But now with Billy Kemp, like, I don't really see the need.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, there is a nice like balanced build when you do it like that. I still think you should find one of the quarterbacks. And let's round it out here with UCF and Memphis. UCF's they've been screwing things up for me. They did find a way to win that game against Cincinnati, which was helpful. What do you make of them here? Plumlee ? I know that Mikey Keene can step up and he'll be fine if that's who it goes. Do we have clarity on the QB situation?
We don't. It's going to come down to game time decision, I think.
What does that do? Is this an offense you're looking to target?
Not too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's a decent total. It's a competitive spread. They play fast. It's just hard to consolidate what's going on. I know you're no fan of Bowser in that backfield.
They're finally moving on for him, going to Harvey.
Which is what they should do. Yeah. O'Keefe, I think, is fine. He doesn't jump off the page either. And then on the Memphis side, to kind of round us out, Prescorn, like, what else do you see here? Hennigan, anything from them that you want to give a shout out to?
No. I think Skates was a good play before. Now he's not great just because you can get Billy Kemp, but there's not much to like here on Memphis.
Damon Patton, 5K flex on DK, got Kemp ready. I think maybe Moose Muhammad is in that conversation. He's in the mid to upper 4.7s. Tillman and Haynes King, or Starling and Dugan. It would be Starling and Dugan for me.
Same.
Not sure. Pretty decent DFS player, but failing to college. One thing I would advise you is never, ever, ever play any college with the Q-Tex. Isn't that the truth? It's very difficult to get information. Nix is going to steal some goal line TDs away from everyone. Yeah, very possible. You're rolling the dice with guys like that. There's no doubt about it. It's just when you have access to nearly a 50-point team total, if you are living and breathing and on the field, there is a chance that you just catch all the touchdowns. Dugan or Ibrahim, obviously that's a super flex. I would go Dugan.
Same.
Any final thoughts? The people want to know, how egregious is it over there with you right now? Like, did you make some progress? I tried to spell you with some monologues. Did I do any help to your lineups?
Yeah, you did great. You helped me buy some time to make some really bad lineups.
Okay, well, that's as good as I can do.
Congrats to everybody on your winnings today.
Woo, thoughts on a Will Rogers, Seth Hennigan contrarian stack on FanDuel?
Yeah, I don't hate that. Will Rogers is going to throw for 300 yards every game.
Auburn should be deleted. Not a fan of that team.
I didn't even look at FanDuel.
I am not a fan of Auburn, so I get that. I think that's a pretty sharp take there for sure. We have done it, friends. We are about to hit lock. I would ask one more time, if you guys want to show that support, let's pump the likes up over 100. We did the best we can today. A lot of news is flying our way, and we hope that you guys found this insightful as always. If you have more questions, at Matt_Gajewski, at JazzRazDFS, hit us on Discord, hit us on Twitter, join the community. Again, thanks to No House Advantage. Go over there, use that promo code. Take advantage of all the money we are giving away there and at BetMGM and get your 2 free months. All that information is in the description of this show, but we're going to bounce on out of here and get our gamble on. For me, for Matt, for Mike behind the glass. Good luck, friends. Enjoy the games and enjoy your Saturday. We will see you next week. Same time, same place.